A very good evening to everyone present here today. My name is Fulel Taha and I am today's moderator. So I am extremely pleased to welcome all of you to yet another session of the author's saga. So we are now live on Facebook and we have individuals joining in from many different countries and areas. So let's start by having a quick introduction about Pick a Book. So, Pick a Book is basically a movement that encourages the habit of reading by getting all participants to select a book, read and research on it thoroughly, and present a summary, which also helps to hone his or her public speaking skills, communication, and presentation skills. By doing this, Pick a Book not only inculcates the habit of reading, but also helps to impart a wealth of knowledge. So currently, Pick a Book marked its presence in 4 countries, namely Sri Lanka, India, the UK, and the Singapore, in just a span of a year, with 600 plus readers, 18 plus regions, and 30,000 people inspired. So Pick a Book is continuing to spread its wings all across the globe. Now, Pick a Book has recently begun a fantastic initiation called the Author's Saga. I guess this is why we are all here. Through these sessions, the authors will be able to reach readers and individuals with like-minded interests. Authors can discuss the key insights of their book, and viewers will be able to take away from this. So we hope to help the authors inspire fellow readers and aspiring authors as well on their journey. So this will be inspiring sessions with authors to ensure that they gain a wider reach and encourage individuals to further enhance their reading habit. So today's session, we have quite an interesting topic lined up. So it's physiotherapy and it's about rheumatoid arthritis. So physiotherapy is not just for old people. Even the younger generation can learn a lot from it. So today's conversation, Anil Sharma, a physiotherapy consultant and an author, and he unfolds some myths of physiotherapy and prevention for arthritis, because as they say, prevention is better than cure. Now, it is with great pleasure that I'd like to introduce Dr. Anil Sharma. So to tell you a little bit about him, he's a profoundly talented and resourceful physiotherapist with about 26 years in experience in fields like physiotherapy, with specialization in rehabilitation of orthopedic, neurological, pediatric, gynecological, chest, cardiac rehabilitation, and even sports injuries. So he has proven success in treating all low back conditions and cervical spondylosis and systematic exercises. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome today's author, Dr. Anil Sharma. Dr. Anil, welcome to the session. It is a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you, Flail. It's my pleasure also, and it's a gratitude to Pick a Book for this opportunity provided to me, so that I can also help the readers and even the aspiring authors as well.
All right, great, doctor. So let's start right away. Now, the first question we ask all authors is, Doctor, how did you come about writing this book?
Yeah, so that's Flail. The most interesting part about this is I actually dreamt about writing a book actually 22 years back.
Oh, okay.
So like one of my mentor, who is my guru also, who was my guru also, so he wrote that time a book, and actually I was doing a proofing for his few of his chapters. So that time I just thought ki when I would be in a position to write a book, and the idea came in and idea went off also. But this pandemic provided us as timing also, and actually I could utilize this particular time. And in last year, like, it took me 6 to 8 months, so I got the time, and I utilized that time, and I actually worked upon my that dream of writing a book, and God willingly, I could do it also. So that was a very old dream came true.
That's great to hear, doctor. A lot of people dream about writing, but I guess it takes a lot of courage and perseverance to. And I'm so glad that you finally achieved your dream in writing this book. So let's get to talking about the main subject. It's rheumatoid arthritis. So, a common question would be, can I actually handle this situation? Can I actually handle my arthritis?
Yeah. So what happens, Phil? Rheumatoid arthritis, it's basically an autoimmune disorder. So when it happens for forever. It will remain there. It will remain throughout the life. But the most important thing is, yes, we can handle our rheumatoid arthritis, provided we are actually aware about the things, about its prognosis, about its how it progresses away. So if we are aware of it, how it's going to happen, what is basically anticipated on a later part if it is not really taken care of. So if we are really aware about those things, so definitely we can actually control it. We can definitely control it.
All right, that's great to hear, doctor. So, this book also talks about the possible options available. So, what are actually some of the possible options available for its treatment?
See now, basically, it is rheumatoid arthritis is the thing. At least it should get diagnosed first. So in the medical hierarchy, there are professionals. We have orthopedic surgeons, then we have rheumatologists, then we have physiotherapists. So it's a teamwork. So it always, when you come to know about certain symptoms, like you're having joint pains and morning stiffness and all those things. So just don't get neglect these things. Just get into somebody, get into some professional's advice, and then get it so that you can get help for its diagnosis. Once it is diagnosed, for example, like one is diagnosed with, yes, you are having rheumatoid arthritis, so definitely there is a process. You can understand the how it progresses. If it is not taken care of, how it's going to deteriorate. If it is really taken care of, how you can control it, along with your medications, and all those other things are definitely there. But what you can do, one must try to learn that also.
So, be well educated about these situations, and I guess diagnosis is important as well, like you mentioned. So, I guess this is what the book talks about, right? The serious rheumatoid arthritis. Now, we always talk about prevention. So, what is the role, doctor?
See, Fulil, what happened actually, to get into this, first I'll go back in a retro version, how the idea of prevention came in. So what happens, I had treated few patients, those who were really crippled, critically crippled by rheumatoid arthritis. So like they were in a situation, they were actually sitting on the wheelchair with their feet. So they were not able to hang their legs also. So they were so crippled. One has to lift them and then put onto the bed, and then lift from the bed, put in a wheelchair. So I had treated these kind of patients. So during those treatments, which went on for a few months, so I could realize why this that person reached to that extent. And the idea about I came out is, basically certain things were there which could have been prevented, provided they were provided with the knowledge and the information how you really have to take care about these things, so that these things do not deteriorate to that extent. And then I kept on working how things can be done. So that's how the prevention, that's a very old saying, the prevention is better than cure. but I actually try to implement that thing on those patients and those were crippled. But whenever after that, whenever I got certain new patients, then I started working with those preventive skills, and really it helped. Really it helped. We could prevent the worsening of the joints. So this is how the prevention idea of prevention came in.
All right. Thank you, doctor, for that amazing answer. So I'm guessing we are in for a treat. We are in here to learn a lot. We can, diagnose this properly. So speaking of diagnosis, how often do you think we should visit a physiotherapist?
Yeah. So diagnosis and physiotherapist, there are two different things coming in. So once you get diagnosis, so first of all, you should never try to self-diagnose it.
Mhm.
I would always advise. See, we actually hear a lot of things from others, and then we try to implement those things in our protocol, and sometimes we miss it, sometimes we get it. So we must avoid these kind of things. Now, first stage is get diagnosis. So we go to a orthopedic surgeon or a rheumatologist. So they are going to help you in getting it diagnosed. There are certain clinical features which you can think of. It may be rheumatoid arthritis, but don't think yourself. So, for example, if I tell you, if you have got multiple joint pains, if you have got pain in your smaller joints, then if you have morning stiffness, when you get up in the morning, at that time your fingers, your toes are not free, or sometimes having pain. So these are basically signs. But I would always say you can think of, but to get it confirmed, get into the right channel, get them diagnosed by the proper professionals. Now comes to the physiotherapy. So physiotherapy, as I said, rheumatoid arthritis is an ongoing process throughout the life. So that does not mean that you have to go to the physiotherapist throughout the life. But the pattern of the disease is sometimes the severity comes suddenly. So we call it acute phase. Then after some time it will subside down and will go coolly normally. Everything is normally like as nothing has happened. So during that particular acute phase, definitely do consult your physiotherapist so that you get the treatment during that particular acute phase. But once you are out of that acute phase, so try to learn from your physiotherapist what kind of exercises, what do's and don'ts, what prevention one can adopt during the pain-free period of your problem. See, generally what happens, I have seen patients, whenever pain comes, they start doing exercise. Oh, actually, my doctor said I have to do exercise, and they suddenly memorize it. They get remember, like I was told exercise, I have to do exercise. No, when you are in a state of pain, don't do exercise. I'll always advise do regular exercise during your non-pain free period so that actually you can defer that painful phase, that painful acute phase.
All right. Thank you, doctor, for that amazing advice. So I was just going through the contents of the book, and the chapter 3 says action plan to control or limit damage, right? So I was particularly interested about this. Could you tell the audience a little bit about this chapter, doctor?
So action plan is basically it's you should be in a position to judge your symptom first of all. So by nowadays, as we are full of, we have got abundant of atmosphere environment for the knowledge, right?
Yes.
So make use of it. Make use of it. So, but don't ever always depend upon the Google only. So just get an information so that you are aware first of all, then plan accordingly where I do stand as of now. If I need to go to an orthopedician or a rheumatologist, go there blindfolded. If I'm in a state, I'm already in touch with them, but now I need a physio. So go to the physio blindfolded. Communicate with your physio. Ask. Don't just be a passive receiver of your treatment. Be an active participant in your treatment protocol. I always say, ask your health service provider. Ask your queries so that so that you are actually involved into the treatment. Once you are involved into the treatment, actually you are actually mobilizing your own action plan. So that is the idea behind that.
All right. Thank you,
And
doctor. I mean, yeah, you wanted to say something?
yeah, and next to that chapter only, I added success stories also.
I was just about to come to that chapter, doctor. So basically, I was actually curious to know what these success stories are. Would you mind sharing
Yeah,
a little bit with us?
yeah. So I intentionally shared those success stories. So actually, these success stories are actually what I have done with these patients. For the privacy point of view, I have just changed the names. But the what I did with them, the procedure, how I did the whole protocol, the system, what kind of queries they asked me, what kind of solutions I gave them, at what stages, what was advised. So actually, these success stories actually help you, the reader, how the process goes on and how one can involve himself or herself in the process. That is more important. And once you are into the process, actually you can control your own process by your own self. You don't get fooled up by anybody because you are aware now. So I just try to share that knowledge through those success stories with how the process goes on.
Okay, okay. I guess a main part of healing is also, you know, mental toughness. It
Oh,
helps a lot
exactly,
with,
definitely,
yeah.
undoubtedly. See, if you are abundant, you are full of everything. You are full of resources. You are full of knowledge. You are abundant of everything. But if you are having a lack of your willpower, your mental setup, your mind setup, then everything goes in vain. So it's
Yeah.
basically complementary to each other, and your mental strength is going to take away things.
All right, doctor. So, moving on to the next question. There are so many of us without a medical background, right? And how is this going to help with people like them, for someone
Yeah.
who doesn't have a medical background?
So actually, my this particular book is mainly for people those who are not from medical background. So actually, the end user, the person who is suffered with rheumatoid arthritis, or somebody in the family, somebody in the close contact of one, they are having rheumatoid arthritis. So actually, this book is planned for them only, and for that particular reason, I have tried not to use medical jargons, medical big terminology. If they are reading the book, they have to take a dictionary along with. No, I have actually tried to avoid those things. Very simple language, uh, with flow diagrams, with exercise also written in there, and I would categorically call my book a smart book.
Okay, okay.
So
And
so
yeah,
yeah. So please.
all right. This is, I feel like this is more of a practically a book that you can use to, there are so many practical books, and I guess this is one of them, right?
Yeah,
Where you can,
this is one of them. Now,
uh,
as a professional background, I am a physiotherapist, so I always talk about exercises. And you know, exercise is one thing. One of the I what I have experienced in my career. It is one of the boring thing to continue for a long time.
Mhm.
So, and if you read an exercise written in a text in a book, it is really difficult. What is written, then what is how we have to do, how we have to apply. So the best thing is you go to a person, learn it, and practically implement it. So for that particular reason, in this digital era, I try to implement that one digital aspect in my book also. So what I did is I prepared certain videos of certain exercises which were difficult to write in text form, or which were difficult to understand from a text form. So what I did, I shooted those exercises, and I got the QR codes of those exercises. Now my book is actually printed with many QR codes. So if a reader is reading that book and scan that QR code, so after scanning that QR code, the reader would be taken to the that particular exercise video in my YouTube channel. So one can
Or
really actually watch it. They can read it in the text form, and they can watch it, the exercise, on my YouTube channel by scanning the QR code.
that's great, doctor. I mean, reading instructions to an exercise can be not only boring but also, confusing as well, right? You won't
Yes,
know if you're doing it right. And one of the best ways to, practice an exercise would be to watch someone do it. So that's a great strategy, doctor. That is actually amazing. So I was also looking at chapter 6 of your book where it says don'ts. Now,
yeah,
could you
there
tell
is
us
a
a little uh,
yeah.
what this chapter is about?
So approximately there are 45 or 50 do's and don'ts in my book. So deliberately written there, and how these do's and don'ts came up. For example, if I'm giving a patient my consultation, and at that time I advised, he said ki I was doing this, and it realized me he was not supposed to. So that became a don't. And what he was supposed to do, it became a do's. So from there I started making a list, which I got feedback from my patients, and do's and don'ts I created from there. For example, a simple thing. Simply, if you can imagine a lady working in a kitchen, and he's making a chapati, and those who are listening today, me, they just can recheck at home, just without telling that lady when she's making a chapati, observe whether she is standing on both the legs equally or she is just standing on one leg. Physically she is on both the legs, but she is actually putting 100% of weight on one leg at that particular time, without being aware of it, or without being aware of its significance. So that kind of, see, for that particular reason, if you are standing on one leg daily for that particular period, twice in a day, morning as well as evening, so you are actually damaging that particular joint, that particular knee joint of your leg, by putting extra load. So this become a don't. So I advise, be aware whenever you are doing these kind of works, so that you shift your weight, body weight, equally on both the legs. So this became a do's. So this is how I have developed lot many do's and don'ts there, so that it can help people to actually think. A thought process will develop.
Guilty of this, standing on just one leg. I guess when you continue long-term effects, so I guess this is a book. I feel like it's going to the reader in the sense that this like you said, this
And
small.
I would interrupt here.
Yeah, go ahead, doctor.
So what happens is in this is it's not this particular tip is not only for people suffering with rheumatoid arthritis. Kulel, I advise you now you start observing people around you whenever even they are talking to on phone standing, they are standing on one leg. If you are just passing in the office and just stood and having a cup of tea, you are standing on one leg. That is how and where we actually start the damage of the joints gradually.
Yes, doctor. So that, I guess I am actually excited to read this book, to be honest, because like you said, it's not really it's a diagnosed condition, but also there are also people so that they can prevent uh, some of these conditions. So take us through that chapter. What are some of the frequently asked questions?
Right. So frequently asked questions are also derived from my consultation with the patients only. So, for example, one day a lady came in and asked me, "Doctor, can I really get rid of this?" So then I told her, I explained her, no, you cannot really actually get rid of it, but you can get on it. So then she said, what is the difference? Get rid of means you want ki rheumatoid arthritis should go out of your body. So I said no. But get on it means if you are really aware about the process of rheumatoid arthritis, the progression of rheumatoid arthritis, and if you know in advance the what kind of deformities you may develop in future, then and on top of that, if somebody teaches you how you can prevent those deformities to get in development, so that way you actually get on your rheumatoid arthritis. Now you are actually controlling it. So you have to learn how you can prevent the development of those deformities. So these kind of questions were asked, used to ask. So I try to answer. So what answer I gave them in my one-to-one consultation, I have just penned down in my book.
All right, great. So, doctor, now most of us are under the impression that a medical subject book, and people think they're not gonna, understand some of this. Like you said, you have written it in a way that you used any medical jargon. So this is actually layman friend.
Hello.
Yes. So, doctor, I was just asking if this is actually this book can be read by anyone, and if
Yes,
this
it
could
can
be
be.
understood by anyone.
Yes, it can be. And because
Great.
I've actually I have written in very much tabular forms. There are boxes built up in the book. How how you can actually take care of your preventive tips while in kitchen, while washing your clothes, while driving, what prevention you can take in. So I have put in categorically different activities of daily living and what prevention you can adopt while doing those activities. So it's basically you are not actually, I'm not saying you don't do this. You are not supposed to do this. I'm not saying this. See, no, saying no to something is the best answer. So if I said somebody you should not do this, so I have stopped that person one of his activity. So the best thing is one should be able to do it, but the question is how we should do it so that we can prevent the damage and we can continue our exercises, we can continue our activities so that we don't feel it कि यार हम एक मरीज बन गए हैं, we have become a patient. No.
Members who are wondering what actually is really special about this book. Doctor, could you answer that for us? Like, what do you think is special about this book?
So the special thing about is the chapter which is focused on preventive tips. That is, if you see the content, this chapter is coming in the center of the content. So for my book, this is the base of the book. That name has actually come up from this chapter. So for example, if I can show it here, and you see, yeah, I have got a box here. So if I have to tighten this bottle, so I have to rotate my hand towards my little finger. Are you getting? So what I do is, and for opening it, I am rotating towards my thumb. So what we are not supposed to do is we should avoid the movement of wrist towards little finger. If we are closing any bottle, any jar, anything during our daytime and doing this, are actually creating a wrong direction for our wrist. So I have explained in it. So what you do with the other hand, you close it. So you are moving wrist towards the thumb side, and with the other hand you open it. So you are using both the hands movement towards your thumb. We are avoiding movements towards our wrist, little finger. So because we know our wrist is going to get damaged in the direction of little finger. So these kind of tips are there. So this is one tip I have shared, because many times any lady or we gents do this movement, capping and uncapping of the bottle or the jar, and we do this movement lot of time in a day. So you see in your lifetime how many times you are mobilizing it this way. We are going to damage it. So one need to learn these small tips and bits so that really they can control their problems.
All right, great, doctor. So we have a few questions from our audience members. They would like to know how long it took for you to write this book.
Right. So I could write, technically speaking, the written work was done in 3 months. So what I did during first lockdown period, I started this, and I used to get up in the morning, and I used to write actually 1,000 words per day, 500 words or 1,000 words, 800 words per day in the morning. So within 2 months, my actual work was completed, 2.5 months, and later on I did the editing and I did all editing by myself only.
That's great, doctor.
So all editing is done by myself. So I learned that way, and so that way in that process I took 3 months. So total 5 to 6 months I could write this book.
5 to 6 months. Great. And they would also like to know if there are any key takeaways from that book that you'd like to share right now.
The key takeaway is my all videos are always with you, because those video. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are
So
audible, doctor.
the key takeaway is my all those videos are not public on my YouTube channel. So those videos are with the author, with the reader of that book only. So whosoever
Okay.
will read that book will be having an access to that book, those videos. Otherwise, those videos are not public on my YouTube channel.
So exclusive content just for the readers. That
Yes,
is
yes.
quite special about this book, Doctor. So, like I said it once, and I will say it again. I am super excited to read this book, and this was actually quite a breath of fresh air and an extremely inspiring conversation. And like I said, I'm surely going to read this book, and I know all our viewers will want to as well. So, could you tell us where we can purchase this book from?
So, Philil, I think in the chat box we have given the link of the book on Amazon. As well, I have given a basically a link for my all social media handles, because I've got my Facebook community as well as I've got a Facebook page. So I share lot of educative, informative, awareness material on all my social medias on a regular basis. Irrespective, it's not regarding only rheumatoid arthritis, rather on all the aspects, and they're all driven by my patients, my clients requirements. What they ask me, I post a solution to those things on my social media, so that I can actually help people to understand and really be aware of things.
All right, Doctor. With that, we have come to the end of our author saga session, which is a part of Pick a Book. So once again, Pick a Book encourages the reading habit by getting all participants to select a book, read and research on it thoroughly, and present a summary, which also helps to hone his or her public speaking, communication, and presentation skills. By doing this, not only inculcates the habit of reading, but also helps to impart a wealth of knowledge. So, if you would like to be a part of the Pick a Book community, or if you would like to see Pick a Book in your region and join the journey of inspiring people, please reach out to us and send us an email via the ID present on the screen. We are all eagerly looking forward to hearing from you. So, my name is Fulel Taha. I was the moderator this evening, and thank you again, Dr. Anil, for sharing some amazing insights, for taking your valuable time to inspire the crowd. It was a really brilliant session. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you, Fuller, and it's a thanks to Pick a Book as well as the Author Saga for the opportunity given to me, also provided to me, so that I could reach out to people actually to help them be aware of things and how take care, control of their problems on their own, along with the expert advices. Thank you once again.
All right, Doctor. We are surely looking forward to reading your book. Till we meet again, thank you so much, Doctor. Have a great week ahead.
Thank you so much.